Good morning. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wellness Wednesday. We are halfway through the week and I hope you are feeling well already this morning. If you are just stumbling on my page, I am a mom, a nana, a wellness advocate, a jazzerciser. Just came from jazzercise class about 30 minutes ago. It's a great way to start your day. And also to make sure I get up on time and do all the things, right? I am also recently part of an international best-selling book, starting grad school, all the things. So one of the reasons that I started, good morning, Miss Denise. The reason I started Wellness Wednesday is because I have been on a lifelong journey. Good morning, Aunt Lois. I've been on a lifelong journey battling with anxiety and depression, and slowly, very methodically, and sometimes accidentally learning new ways to be well, and improve my wellness on a daily basis so that I am well for longer periods, and can recover from down periods more quickly. So I thought it was a good idea to kind of share some of my experiences because sometimes sharing experiences helps others. And in this forum, you are able to make comments, interact, or send messages if you find it helpful or if you have something similar to share, etc. So love this opportunity to share with each other ways that we can help each other find new paths to wellness. Let's see if I can make words today. If you are here, let me know you're here. If you don't see this till later, that's okay. Hit hashtag replay in the comments or ask a question or whatever to let me know that you saw it. So let's get started. What's the word meh? What is that? For me, and of course, wellness, let me start over. Wellness is a very broad topic. It covers a lot of things, but a lot of times wellness ends up being more about mindset than anything because how we think and how we feel affects so many things, including our physical performance and how we feel physically. So now back to that word meh. What does that mean to you? For me, it's a feeling of, I don't really want to do this. I don't really want to be here. Whatever is applicable at the time. It's, I guess for me, just a feeling of not really being interested, not really feeling motivated in whatever it is. So whether it's something I've been doing all along, something new, or somewhere in between, if that sounds familiar. Good morning, Miss Carla. So in the whirlwind of life, it's easy to allow our passions to fade into the background. Am I right? Yet as we enter our 50s, I'm going to talk about that in a minute, we realize that we can no longer ignore the heartfelt call of our inner desires. For me, that actually didn't have anything to do with closing in on 50. Yes, I'm closing in on 50. Good morning, Miss Cindy. I don't have any problem admitting that. I am about 3 months out as of yesterday. Thank you to my daughter for pointing that out. But it really didn't happen for me just because I was closing in on 50. It's kind of been happening since my early 30s or late 30s, early 40s. Since I went part-time at my previous job because of the downturn and entered college and started to get a taste of what was possible there. Started to broaden my horizons, kind of rekindled a passion for wellness and mental health. And then it continued because I kept kind of pushing that to the side and going back to what I was doing. And it wouldn't leave me alone. God has a funny way of hanging on to us when he wants us to go a certain direction and we're not paying attention. So for me, it started in my late 30s, early 40s. I think there's an average timeline where it happens to most people, but if you're early or late according to that average timeline, that's okay because it's your timeline. And sometimes most of the time, depending on your beliefs, it's God's timeline or the universe's timeline or whatever the case may be for you. So there's no right or wrong time. Good morning, Mike. There's no right or wrong time for this to be happening. But I think by the time we hit 50, most of us are feeling it in some way. We're starting to ruminate about things we didn't do, things we didn't continue to do, or whatever the case may be. So when it comes to this can apply to new things. It can apply to current hobbies, interests, or even your current job. Yes, in God's time, Denise. Yes. So number one, is it disinterest or is it avoidance? So how do you figure that out? What feelings are associated with the activity? If you have really negative feelings associated with the activity, whatever it is, whatever the thing is that you've lost interest in or that you feel not interested in, or not passionate about anymore. This could be, again, this could be your job. It could be a long time hobby. It could be a lot of things. So what are the feelings associated with that activity? Do you have negative feelings that are associated with that activity? This is the first step, is to try to figure out whether it's disinterest or avoidance. The feelings that are associated with that activity may tell you a lot. I have a great example here, and it talks about, this will go back to line dancing. I started line dancing back when my daughter was around 14 or 15 years old, and a class finally became available in the evening that we could both go to. I loved line dancing, absolutely enjoyed it, but due to a sequence of various events, whew, it's going to be a fun morning, I can tell. Due to a sequence of events, I started to get caught up in some politics, and believe it or not, there's politics in everything. Politics, drama, whatever you want to call it. I try to stay away from that stuff. I found myself, because of a situation, getting caught up in the politics of it. And it kind of took the joy out of line dancing for me for a bit. So the feelings I was having about what was going on were directly affecting my feelings about the line dancing itself. So I started avoiding it because I was avoiding those people. I was avoiding those feelings. It wasn't actually a disinterest in line dancing. It was an avoidance of a particular situation. So that's kind of how you tell. Are you disinterested because you just can't seem to get the motivation, and motivation is a relative term, to do what you normally do, what you love to do? You still love it, but you just can't seem to get yourself there, which is disinterest. Or is it avoidance because something negative has attached itself to it? Maybe somebody told you were wasting your time. Or that it wasn't going to work out. And so you started viewing it in a negative perspective, and started avoiding it. So the first step is, what are the feelings associated with that activity? This can apply to the job too. Again, is it general disinterest where you're struggling to get out of bed, and you're struggling to get involved in any of the things you love to do, including enthusiasm for your job? Or are you associating negative feelings for what you're doing? So what things do you do that bring you joy? That's the next step. Once you've figured out if it's disinterest or avoidance, and what feelings are associated with that activity, figure out what things related to that activity bring you joy. Brainstorm what about it, again, volunteer position, job, hobby, whatever, fulfills you and has meaning. For example, my previous job of 21 years as an executive officer included event planning for 4 different major events per year. And the event planning portion of things was extremely fun, watching, even up to and including the stress right before the event would go off, watching the event come to fruition, watching the success of it. That was all very fun for me and very fulfilling. What I learned was that for me, it was because even though it was kind of the same every year, because it was the same event every year, just different situations, the events kept things different enough. It was different enough every year to keep me stimulated and keep me from being bored. And that's the case. Sometimes with our hobbies, with our jobs, whatever, the truth of the matter is we're bored. We're not being challenged anymore. So that's an important thing to take a look at. And it's important to be honest with yourself about those things. So, again, whatever the activity is that you're struggling with, figure out if it's disinterest or avoidance. And if there's negative feelings attached to it, sit down and brainstorm what it is that brings you joy about that thing, and fulfills you and has meaning. Number 3, the next step, if you determine that it is in fact avoidance, then, or lack of being challenged or boredom or whatever the case may be, if you've got negative feelings associated, take a break. Working at things constantly, no matter what they are, if it's a hobby, if it's something you love, if you're working at it constantly and it feels like work all the time, that leads to burnout. And that's not just an employment thing. Going back to my line dancing example, I became burnt out because of the drama and the negative feelings attached to it. So I took a break. I backed off. I took a break for a long time. Now, how did I figure out that it was not the line dancing I was having an issue with, but in fact, the specific situation surrounding that particular time during line dancing? Was because when the line dancing songs would come on the radio or come on my iPod, yes, I said iPod, my feet would want to move. I would want to start dancing. I'd be trying in my head to remember the songs. So it was truly something I loved and that I would eventually go back to. I needed a break. I needed a break from the situation. I needed the situation to resolve itself, whatever. I needed a break. Sometimes you got to take a break. Now, that may be harder to do if your issue is your job. A break might mean it's time to schedule a vacation, a real vacation. A lot of us have a tendency to not want to take too much time off work, so we trade in our vacation time for pay, or we nickel and dime our vacation by just taking long weekends. Sometimes that's not enough. Take a full vacation where you can totally unplug from the job, walk away from it, and take a break, 7 to 10 days. So if you have the ability, whatever it is, if you're feeling burnout, if you're feeling negative feelings associated with it, you need to take a break from it. So if you're not in that situation and you are trying to be enthusiastic, about whatever it is, chores, work, hobby, then you may find that a different perspective changes the way you look at it. If you can't take a break, yes, often easier said than done. But the more we plant the seeds, right, the more likely you are to realize, oh my gosh, maybe it's time. And if it's really necessary, I find that sometimes, our whatever creator we believe in will kind of force us to take that break if we really need it and we're not paying attention. So if you want to change your perspective about it, if you can't take that break or you've determined that it's just disinterest, the things that you can do to become more enthusiastic about it are look at the brighter side of things. If it's your job, what about the day is coming that gets you more excited than the rest of it? Can you focus on that and get the mundane stuff that's boring you or that's not challenging you, or that makes you disinterested out of the way first, so you can focus on whatever it is about the job that gives you joy? Can you look at it from a perspective? Can you reframe your thinking? Look at it from a perspective of, I get to do this today. Or if you are a praying person, pray for the awesome day you're going to have and the new awesome experiences you're going to have, instead of, please God, help me get through the day. That can make a huge difference, praying for it as if you've already received it, instead of looking at it as a negative, even in your prayer. And do it daily. If it's a hobby that you're struggling with, that you're struggling to stay interested in, and you truly love the hobby, making time to do it every day and forcing yourself to do it will help open up creativity and will make it become habitual again, to kind of help you determine if it's something that you are still passionate about or if you're losing that. Same thing with chores. If you change the way you look at them, instead of these have to be done, if I get these done, my house will be cleaner and I'll feel better. If I get this done, I'll get that off my plate and I'll have time to do something else that I love to do. That type of thing. It changes your perspective and helps you to be more enthusiastic in your approach, which sometimes changes the way you look at it. The other way to find, if you're not sure, if you've just lost track of what your interests and what your passions are, you can ask trusted people like friends and family, what is it when we're talking? What do I talk about that just lights me up? If you think back, you may have been having a conversation with somebody, where you traveled to a subject that somebody else looked at you and said, wow, you're really excited about this, or wow, you're really passionate about this, or wow, you really know a lot about this. How do you know so much about this? If it lights you up when you're talking about it, that is probably something you should be paying more attention to. That is probably your passion, your interest. If that is the thing you've been avoiding, then again, it's time to take a break or approach it with a different, more enthusiastic attitude, because it is obviously something you are passionate about and are enthusiastic about. But if you're not sure what that thing is, talking to friends and family and asking them, people you trust, what is it that I light up when I'm talking about? You might be able to find some valuable insight. When it comes to your job or hobby, examine what you love and hate. I kind of already covered this, so that you can focus more on those aspects. Years ago, when I worked in retail grocery, I worked for a place called Cash and Carry. Does anybody remember that name? And I had been in the front desk, in the bookkeeping office, front desk, customer service for a very long time. And I was at a stage of my life where I think maybe some of that social anxiety was starting to kick in, and I was very, very burned out on the customer service end. There you go, Cindy, your Young Living Essential Oils. That's perfect. If that lights you up, you should do more of it, talk more about it, etc. At Cash and Carry, I was really burnt out on the customer service side of things. I have been working in some form of customer service since I was 14 years old. And at that time of my life, I was going through my divorce. And I was really I didn't want to be around people. I didn't want to talk to people. I was prone to busting out in tears at any given moment, because of the upheaval in my world, a lot of which I asked for, but it's still change, right? So I was really struggling at my job because of the customer service aspect and having to face people every day and the sometimes not reliable hours that came along with that. So I went to my management and I said, I need to do something different. And we were in the process of opening up the new liquor store at the time. So they started putting me in the liquor store so that I could learn it, in preparation for becoming the liquor store manager, which gave me a break, probably cut me down to 1 to 2 days a week in the customer service front end, and put me by myself a lot, which is exactly what I needed at the time. So examine what you love or hate about your job, your hobby, whatever. And are there ways that you can make changes to get away from the things you hate? Listen, we all have to do things we don't want to do, that we're not in the frame of mind to do. And sometimes no matter how we feel, we still have to show up. But it doesn't mean you can't look at options and talk to people that can work with you to maybe open up the doors to more options. If you've just had enough in one aspect of your job and there's an opportunity to move to another department or try another department or whatever it is, or if there's a position becoming available that maybe focuses on, if you find that you are at your best when you are helping people, interviewing people, whatever, maybe there's a human resources position that's opening up. Maybe that's where you should be instead of whatever, So be open to looking for ways to make it work a little bit differently. Connect with others in your field, whatever it is. My previous job as an executive officer, sometimes when I was feeling especially burned out, talking to another executive officer from another organization of the same type in another area made all the difference. Sometimes we'd bounce things off of each other and all of a sudden I would come away feeling better about a situation, maybe with some new ideas. So that does make a difference. So if you're really struggling, talk to other people that are in your field. Whatever it is, hobby, Cindy, if Cindy's struggling with an essential oil thing, maybe Cindy reaches out to somebody else in that same business just to bounce some things off and get a little venting done or whatever, maybe to come up with some new ideas. So it doesn't really matter what it is. Gardening, Denise, I know, loves to garden, but maybe she's a little frustrating with some things she's experiencing with the gardening and she's having trouble getting herself out there to take care of it. Maybe if she talks to somebody else that knows a lot about that, she gets some new ideas and it gets her fired up again. Those are examples of how you can connect with others in the field, whatever that field is, whether it's a job or whether it's it's hot. Yes. Well, I'm not sure who you can talk to about the sun, but you're right. It's hot. But those are ways that you can connect, and commune with people that have like interests. Maybe a club, a gardening club, an essential oils club, whatever the case may be, with people who have like interests that can maybe give you new perspective, fresh information, fresh motivation. Sometimes that's what those things equal. So the next step would be to revisit your why and evaluate why you're doing what you're doing. Why did that thing become a passion for you? Is that why still the same? Has your situation changed where maybe, if that passion was to serve a purpose, for example, me, I sell activewear. I have an online activewear boutique. And when I first started, my why was different than my why now, but I'm still, if anything, my new why fires me up even more about it. Originally, when I started, it was to pay some student loans, make a little extra money to pay some student loans. Now, it has become a door that opens to talk to amazing people about their self-confidence and how to build that. And my activewear business led this Wellness Wednesday thing on, it put it on my heart. I very rarely talk about the activewear, maybe mention it here and there. But the purpose of Wellness Wednesday is not to sell. It's to continue what the activewear business started for me, which is reaching out and helping others that have been in the same situation as me, or maybe are, to find new ways to be well and confident. Sometimes that starts with having clothes that we love, that fit us properly, right? So look back at your why and reevaluate. It may not be that you don't have that passion anymore. It may be that your why has changed and that you haven't dialed down on that enough to focus on that. It may change your perspective of things. So if you're really struggling, and maybe it's just that you're feeling bored and mundane and like nothing ever changes, there you go, Cindy. That's perfect. You totally understand where I'm coming from, and vice versa. That's awesome. So if you're really struggling and you've determined that the problem is just that everything is the same, nothing ever changes, it's really mundane, you're really bored, blah, blah, blah. Explore what you've always wanted to try. That often leads to trying new things, which is the next thing we're going to talk about. And I'm going to get to it in just a minute. But explore what you've always wanted to try if you're looking to shake things up a little bit. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But here's some random factoids for those that are struggling with their job, which is some of these are going to surprise you. And it's more about your job or your online business. Thank you, Miss Carla. Instead of a hobby or whatever. So random factoids, or if you're thinking about turning your hobby into a business. Here's some random factoids for you before we move on to trying new things. At the average age of a person changing a career is 39 years old. Around 70% of working age people are looking for a job change. And a whopping 52% of American employees are considering a career change this year. So if that's you, you are totally not alone. You're actually in the majority. The typical tenure currently of a job, remember those days where we started somewhere and we stayed there for 21 years, 15 years, whatever. The typical tenure in a job at this time currently is 3.2 to 5.5 years. People are changing jobs, careers more frequently, and it's a little less frowned upon than it used to be. Still frowned upon to job hop every 2 to 3 months, 6 months, but it's not unusual to see people, especially big movers and shakers, changing positions every 3 to 5 years. Not unusual at all. With the exception of workers over the age of 65, who are still maintaining longer tenures at a job, but they may be afraid to move or can't move because of age, which shouldn't be a thing, but it still is. And their average tenure is still only 10.5 years. So if you're thinking that you've been at your job for 15 years and that you're ready for a change, or you have an opportunity to pursue another position, and that it's going to hurt your job history or hurt your chances of getting hired, stop it. That's totally not the case anymore. Like I said, it's still frowned upon to be job hopping 2 or 3 jobs a year, 5 or 6 jobs a year, every 2 years, maybe not so much. But if you're, the average person changes careers something like 12 times in their life. Oh my gosh. So if you're looking at a new opportunity and you're worried about making that change or afraid to make that change, don't be. If it lights you up, if it sets you on fire, maybe it's worth checking out. Conversation is just a conversation. I say that all the time. It's not a commitment. Apply, have an interview. What can it hurt, right? Okay, so if your problem is just that you are struggling with everything and everything's the same and you're bored and you need to try something new, one of my favorite things to do to my daughter, my grandchildren, is try new things. So I want that to get stuck in your head. This will be the one and only time probably that you ever hear me sing here. Try new things. You're going to hear that now in your head, and you'll have to let me know how that works for you. So number one, make a list of what you've always wanted to try. Remember when I said to explore what you've always wanted to try? Make a list of what you've always wanted to try. This is going to require an open mind, and it's going to require willingness to step out of your comfort zone. Even if it's just a baby step, just stick your toe out there, your toe just outside the line. How do you do that? Revisit your childhood dreams and or activities. What did you love to do or thought you were going to do as a child? Did you love writing? I used to write poetry. That's the first time I've admitted that in public. I used to write poetry. Were you big into drawing? Did you love to play sports? Take a look at those things. Why did you stop? How can you start again? Is it something you loved? Did you just love to color? Adult coloring is a thing now. There's all kinds of books out there. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them at Walmart. You can get them at some of your local stores. There's all kinds of stuff out there that's designed for adults to color. So, number one thing, make a list of what you've always wanted to try. Revisit with an open mind. Revisit your childhood dreams, number two, and or activities. See if there was anything there you always wanted to do that you let go and you're not really sure why. And you get excited just thinking about it again, even if you're a little apprehensive. Number three, believe that it is never too late. And number four, believe that you are never too old. C.S. Lewis said, one of my favorite quotes, you are never too old to set a new goal or dream. You guys, if we're constantly using our brains and we're evolving, if we're constantly using our brains, we're constantly learning, we're trying new things, we're open to new things, then we are evolving. If we are stuck in whatever's going on at that moment and we're not changing anything and we're not learning anything, we are stagnant. So believe that it's never too late and believe that you are not too old. Okay, so you might be too old to go play soccer in the Olympics. If you're, 49 and you haven't kicked a ball around the field since you were 16. But if you get a little practice and you get your body moving again, it doesn't mean you can't find somebody that wants to play pickup games, or you can't just play around with a soccer ball in your backyard with your child or your grandchild, right? Doesn't mean you can't ever kick a soccer ball again. It just means it might be a little late to get into the Olympics, right? So not too old, never too late. I am 49. I just got accepted and confirmed acceptance to grad school. I will start on October 9th. I'm going to study for my Master of Licensed Clinical Mental Health Counseling. Okay, so it is never too late. Believe that you are never too old. Teddy Roosevelt, comparison is the thief of joy, especially if you're starting a little bit later on life. Thank you, Miss Denise. Especially if you're starting on a new hobby or a new project or whatever a little bit later in life, do not compare your journey to others, because they may be at a different stage of it. So if you've been practicing with a soccer ball in the backyard again for 3 months, and somebody else your age has been playing pickup soccer down at the field with a whole team, and just kicking butt for the last 2 years, your progress is not going to look the same as theirs, right? So comparison is the thief of joy. You focus on your joy and your timeline and don't compare yourself to others unless it's for the purpose of learning how to progress. That is it. If comparing yourself to others means that you are critiquing where you are or where you think you should be and it's adding negative feelings to that, then you need to stop comparing. Okay. Watch content that inspires you, especially if you're wanting to try new things. You're not sure. Good morning, Miss Erica. Then, that doomsday scroll, we call it the doomsday scroll that we do on our social media where we just scroll because we're bored. and we don't know what to do, and we're trying to avoid something, so we're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and looking at whatever everybody's posted for the last 18 years in 5 minutes. Go find a YouTube video about something you want to try instead. Watch how they do it. Be mindful of your content and what you're consuming. If you are, especially if you are nervous about trying something new, go find a video that tells you how to do it. Go find an article, research that. I'm not saying it's not okay to spend a few minutes scrolling on Facebook or TikTok once or twice a day. Some of us call that research. Good morning, Miss Laura. Some of us call that research, right? But the truth of the matter is that if you're apprehensive about trying something new, there you go, Denise. There's a YouTube video for everything. Literally everything. Eric just learned how to make a cool little bubbling bird bath for hummingbirds. That's going to be his next project. So yes, YouTube is your friend. There are things that you can watch that will help you move toward or help take away your fear about trying that new thing. And that goes right along with the next thing, which is learn. So instead of the doomsday scroll, do some targeted research, learn about the thing, learn anything new. Even if you're like, I don't know what I want to try, but I'm bored. Why is the sky blue? Let me go find out. If you don't know the answer to something, go check it out, learn about it. This stretches your plastic brain, stretches it all out so it can go back together in a better way. I have no idea where that just came from. It wasn't part of the plan talk. Take a leap of faith. Yeah, I mentioned my activewear business. That was a leap of faith for me when I decided to leave my job of 21 years. But what that has done for me is opened up the possibility to go to grad school, because it is very difficult to do a grad school program while working a very demanding full-time job. So in the process of this, it has opened up an opportunity for me to have a part-time job that will give me field experience for grad school. Had I not taken that leap of faith, those doors, I might not have ever seen them. They probably still would have been open, but I would have sailed right past them. So be willing to take that leap of faith. Am I telling you to quit your job? No, I'm not. I'm saying that if something you want to try makes you a little bit nervous, maybe you've been thinking about taking a class. Maybe you've been thinking about going back to school. And you can't really find good reasons not to that aren't just because you're trying to talk yourself out of it because you don't think it's possible. Take a little bit of a leap of faith. Take a class if you want to learn how to do pottery, how to garden. Take a class. Take a little bit of a leap of faith in yourself and in the creator that put that on your heart, and just take that step, okay? Random factoids, since we're on the subject of college. It's large on my mind right now, presumably so. 39% of college students are over the age of 25. So if any single one of you watching is over the age of 25, which I know a few of you are, is over the age of 25 and you're like, I can't go back to college. I'm going to be the oldest person in the classroom. Who cares? I was quite proud to be the oldest person in the classroom most of the time. It did also mean that sometimes once those other students got to know me, they came to me more for information and insight. Why do you think that is? Because they recognized that I had more life experience. It's not always a bad thing to be the oldest person in the room, okay? Okay, so almost done. I'm going to wrap it up. Some of these have been running a little long, but when we start digging into mindset and tools to change that, it gets a little lengthy, right? Hopefully it was fun for you in any way. So remember, pursuing too many interests can be stressful and tiring and lead you to exactly what you're trying to fix, okay? So if you're like, I need to try something new, and the next thing you know, you've taken on 6 new things. Exactly, Erica, whatever that leap is. Next thing you know, you've taken on 6 new things. You might have overdone it a little bit. So take it slow, because if you try to cram too much in, you may find yourself as burnt out as you started, whatever the case may be. I left my job of 21 years and then took on like a whole bunch of new stuff. Did exactly what I didn't want to do and bit off a little more than I could chew, but that's okay. I'm in recovery now, and it's starting to smooth out. So 1 or 2 new things at a time. Go slow. Sometimes this is another thing to remember. Sometimes a loss of interest in the things you love is a sign of depression. Pure and simple. If you have been experiencing that along with other symptoms of depression, especially for quite some time, and you've tried the things we talked about and it's not working, it may be time to seek help, and that is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Let's take away that stigma. So if you have lost interest in all the things you like to do and you're not doing any of that anymore, it could be, and it's been like that for a while, and some of these things we've talked about are not working. Yes, I'm repeating myself. I want to make sure it's understood. It may be time to seek some help. Keep that in mind. And most importantly, whatever it is, hobby, job, side hustle, whatever it is, you are not stuck. You may think you are, but what you're thinking is part of the problem. You are not stuck. Take a little baby step, like one of the things we talked about, to try to change that thinking. Okay. So if you found this helpful, please share. I do have to mention this really quickly. You guys know I'm a huge fan, advocate for mental health. I'm also becoming involved with NAMI. NAMI is an amazing organization that's going to contribute greatly. It's going to work beautifully with my grad school studies, right? It's the perfect alignment. I have this book. I'm in this book. So are 24 other amazing women. I am using this book as a vehicle to raise funds for NAMI Citrus, which is the local branch of NAMI. For those that don't know, NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Health. They do amazing grassroots things, peer support groups, peer counseling, that type of thing. Every one of these books that I sell, signed copy, signed to you or whoever you want it to be signed to, I will sign and mark my chapter, but there are 24 other amazing chapters in this book too. Over 50% of the proceeds go to, well, actually all the proceeds are going to go to NAMI Citrus. What I mean by over 50% is I have figured out my costs of the book, shipping, all of it, and NAMI is going to get over half of the sale price of each book. So if you want one, message me. There's digital payment options. Just had to do that quick plug. Putting it away now. You know it's there. Send me a message if you need it, or drop a comment and I'll send you one. In the meantime, I hope this video you found it helpful. If you did find it helpful, please share. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to message me. Thank you, Cindy, for being here. Thank you so much for that. And if you have a topic you'd like to see me dig into, send me a message. No politics, no negativity. We like to come off of these videos feeling happy and light, right? And if it's something I can dig into, y'all know I love to learn, so I'll be happy to give it a shot, see if I can work it into a future Wellness Wednesday. Next week, coming at you live from Salt Lake City, because that's where we'll be, and Wellness Wednesday is still going to happen from Salt Lake City. Okay, I love you all. Thanks so much for watching. Share it if you found it helpful, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.